Well, Matt, so good to see you again. I'm really excited about the opportunity to have a conversation with you and do a little bit more of a deep dive into your really long span. And I have to say, a very prestigious career. And I know you're a very humble guy, but I'm just going to say that, all the background research, looking back over your lifetime, really, you've done some amazing things. And like everybody, there's been twists and turns and you've had to step out at times when probably didn't feel like there was a solid footing, but man, you've done it well, and you're not through yet either. You're not done, and that's what I love about you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. You're right. I'm humble. It's making me turn red just hearing all that stuff.
Well,
But yeah,
it's my job to say and give you kudos for the things that I know you're going to be careful about, not bragging on yourself. But there's a lot to be learned from you, and I want to just go back way back. I want to know what inspired you to go into dentistry in the first place.
yeah, all the wrong things. Pretty much, I decided I want to be a dentist when I was 13. My orthodontist, my dentist, and the oral surgeon that I saw, there's something I noticed about all three of them. Drove really nice cars. And this was before sun lamps, so they always had a tan. So they were always coming back from a ski trip or some exotic place in the wintertime. I grew up in the Chicago area, and they were surrounded by beautiful women, and I was like, that looks like a pretty good lifestyle. And the other thing I noticed was my oral surgeon was my baseball coach, and we would have practice on like Wednesday afternoon. And my dad didn't have Wednesday afternoon off. And so I really took notice of that. And that I just liked the lifestyle. And all three of these guys were great guys. They were really interested in helping people. That was just sort of in the background. Those other three things were the most important things in my eyes. And of course, I've seen what a great career it can be, and helping people is what I'm all about right now.
Well, it sounds like those early experiences, engagement with those three later to become colleagues, but certainly serving you in their capacity, and not only with your oral health, but also with your extracurricular activities. What a great way to really see what this tribe of dentistry could be, the collegiality.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a close knit group there, but 3 out of 3, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good odds that you were moving in the right path. So I know you graduated from University of Illinois, and then you went to the advanced program at Bethesda. I spelled out. Bethesda Naval Academy. You got super high honors, and I want to dig into a little bit of what you learned there. But again, asking the question, what tracked you to the Navy?
Well, in the beginning, I had a classmate that signed up for the Navy our first year and freshman year because he's like, well, we can get drafted. And I didn't know that when I got in dental school. There was still a draft if you had a professional degree. He figured, what the heck, I'm going to do that. And by signing up now, when he went in, he would have a higher pay. And I was like, oh, Jerry, you're crazy. That's insane. Who's going to go in the Navy and to do all that? Well, then as time went on and I had an interest in doing a residency, I found out that at Bethesda the Navy had at Bethesda a premier residency program. And not only, they only took 3 people. It's where the president went at the time. So this is when Ronald Reagan came to our hospital when I was there. And also met George Bush when he was vice president. So it was pretty crazy. And we had all kinds of brass coming there, very prestigious, across the street from National Institutes of Health. And on that campus, they also had all the postgrads. So endo, perio-pros, and of course there's an oral surgery program at the hospital. So my boss made us not only do a residency, but we had to attend all the stuff with all the other residency programs. So it was a very time-intensive year. But man, it was like drinking from a fire hose, and I'm very grateful for that. And people thank me for my service, and I'm grateful to do it. But I always say, hey, thanks for your tax dollars, because I had an incredible experience.
I had no idea what this really was. Becoming educated, becoming a sophisticated investor, a no-pressure environment.
And the wealth of knowledge that I get, you definitely come out with your mind blown a little bit. It's changed my way of thinking in regards to how my money is working for me.
There's a whole different level of investing that we've learned this weekend.
We didn't learn this stuff in dental school, and you can use the knowledge to help you evaluate other deals, which I think is priceless.
It goes so far to really increase our confidence in our investment strategy.
I come away from this weekend with my understanding of these investment opportunities at a much higher level.
A lot of people have a couple friends they'll bounce ideas off. Well, I got 30, 40 friends in there that I can bounce ideas off, and that helps a lot more.
Coming to this thing and meeting people face to face and forming those relationships, I can't even put a dollar figure on it because the relationships mean more than the actual deal sometimes.
So you did your time with the Navy, and then 1990 you opened your private practice in Springfield, Illinois. Give us a little bit of obviously the military. So many good the discipline, the leadership skills. What pieces from being in the Navy did you take with you that you think are part of the pillars of your foundation of everything you've done in leadership and driving culture and all the things that you did in your practice and are now doing in your coaching?
Yeah. So, I mean, the Navy was really great in teaching leadership, of course. I had a lot of, because after I was at Bethesda, I was in Sicily for 3 years, and me and just a few other dentists, and we were, they basically told us at residency, it was like, all year we've been telling you don't know anything. And then the last 2 weeks, they said, you know what, you guys actually really know a lot. We're sending you out to an isolated place and, because you know what you're doing. It was like, oh, okay, thanks for letting us know before we left at least. And, so there was a lot of things that immediately sort of thrown into that and into the real Navy, basically, where, you had real people, all different things. I was on an air base in Sicily. It was awesome. And so right away, you're just sort of thrown into this situation and you learn from leaders within the enlisted people. And then I was, a leader as a officer. And I learned a lot from my enlisted people who had been in the Navy already for 20, 25 years. And so I humbled myself to learn from that. And we got along really well. But some of the things that I saw were, one of the main thing was in the Navy, you have advancement, right? So in all the services, you see people who have stripes and you're like, well, what does that mean? And it's because you start, as a neophyte, knowing nothing, you go to boot camp and then you advance through things. Well, if advancement isn't just time in, that's you've shown skills where you get better. And so the same thing in dentistry, we had the dental assistants were called dental technicians, and they had different rankings. And so, and I learned that, and I learned that they were motivated to make the next rank. And so I learned how to help them build up in what they were doing and get better. And the more that I did that and understood that, the more they supported me. And so, our little clinic in Sicily, we were rated #1 in the whole European theater because of what we were able to accomplish. And so that was a great lesson. Unfortunately, when I first started in private practice, I kind of forgot that a little bit.
So, all right, well, let's go from there. I know over time you built up a pretty significant size clinic with 30-some members, staff members, and associate doctors. Well, give us that pathway. What things did you do right that worked out well, and what things did you have to come back and redo? And I'm interested also to hear how you took the aspect of rank, achievement of rank with your time in the Navy, and were you able to transpose that to clinical team members to also give them the same motivation to achieve certain skill levels? And is there a ranking process there? So just go wherever you want to with that, but I'm kind of interested in the evolution, and we all are, because we all have gone through a story in our own lives, and some things work and some things don't. And just to learn from someone like you that has years of experience would be really valuable.
Yeah. So I'm thrown into private practice. And actually, initially, I went to a small town in Illinois. I didn't start off in Springfield. I was in a small town for 13 years. And then I started scratch at 45 in Springfield. So I started over, and that was, I was already financially independent at that time at 45, but I knew I could do more in a bigger community. The community I started in was only 3,300, and the whole county was 7,700. And it wasn't growing.
So I just stopped there. So why the move? I mean, you did really well in that community. I mean, was there just?
Well, I made good money. I had a beautiful house. There's a big fish in a small pond, as they say. But The schools were not what I thought they should be. I have 2 daughters, and I wanted them to have the best. And then I also wanted a little change in where I could live. And so in Springfield, I now live on a beautiful lake. And so my wife will say that's the primary reason that but my daughters did extremely well here in the Springfield area, and they went on to have very successful careers. Very proud of them. But so that's where I started out. The thing is when you get thrown into private practice, the military, there's no money. You don't ask a patient, for money. You tell them what they're going to do, and they go, yeah, and then we do it. And so now I came into that, and I felt the pressure initially because I had nothing. And I felt the pressure. I got to make money. And so I set goals. I've always been a good goal setter, and I presented that to my small team at the time. Here's what we need to do. Here's what we need to do. But I was playing the game where basically only I was the one sort of controlling everything. I didn't really take what I had learned from the Navy about, okay, focus on these people first, and then you'll get what you need. And I sort of lost that for a little bit of a time. But then once I recognized, hey, we've got a bunch of people in there, and they come in as a dental assistant, they come in as a hygienist, they come in as front desk, and if you stay long enough, you become office manager somehow. That's the way it usually works in offices. And one of the main reasons that people leave dental offices and are not satisfied in dental offices, or any business for that matter, is they don't see an opportunity to be promoted, to move up. They just don't see that. And if you ask dentists, hey, do you have promotion in your office? They'd probably go, maybe to office manager. Or maybe if they do have team leaders, they have that. But what they're missing is that everybody needs to feel like they're moving up. And so I developed basically a 5-level system for all departments, for administration, for hygiene, and for the clinic, where you start out as a neophyte, new, and then end up at the 5th level. And you could call those levels, whatever you want. You want novice, beginner, intermediate, advanced, superior, or you can just call them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you basically write out, okay, what does it mean to be a number 1? What does it mean to be a 2? My whole my whole purpose with everything is to become the best version of myself, but while helping others to do the same. And so this whole idea of self-help, where you just focus on yourself, I think that whole group of books, you can just throw those away. Here's the answer: you build other people, and you will get better. And so when you provide somebody literally a 1 through 5, here's the track, here's what the pay is, and then have them say, okay, this level 2, I'm gonna work on these 2 or 3 things. Then there's progress, and people are happy, and people are advancing. And of course, you as the owner, you've got people advancing, and ideally you want people that are 3s and 4s, for sure. And hopefully some people make it to 5. But if you have 3s and 4s, you're going to crank right along and basically have a very successful business by default.
Matt, with these rankings, were they based on obviously some objective criteria, skill sets that are measurable? What about softer skills, culture, values, communication, just getting along? Was there? How'd you weigh that? Because I know, as an owner, a leader of a business, a company, giving back assessments to people, sometimes that's difficult for us to do. I don't know about you, but you obviously had a way to do that. Give us a little bit of insight into how you made that productive.
Basically, you basically have, you define core values, and there's probably some people going, oh no, here we go with core values. But you have to have some that you live by. For me, I had 8. I'm told that's wrong. You should have 3. I just read another thing, you should have 2. Whatever they are, you need to have them written down, and you need to present them and work with your team. Communication of who you stand for and what your culture is, all that stuff should permeate. So when someone comes into your office and your business, they should see that going on. And when you have your weekly meetings or monthly meetings, you should be talking about examples of those core values. I operate, and I've talked to you before about, I treat the whole thing as a game, and we're not really going to talk about that today. But the other thing is that when you have a business, you should have a mission. And so I was like, a mission statement. Here we go with that too. But let me make it simple for you. Is that for me, in our community, basically, our mission was to help as many people in our community to have healthy, comfortable, confident smiles. End of sentence. And our staff understood that. So when we're driving to do more, it's not just to do more. It's like, well, what's our mission? Our mission is, first of all, our mission is that because most dentists listening to this hopefully feel that they're the best in their community. And if you're the best in your community, why would you want to just sort of split away your time? Why wouldn't you want to be as efficient as you can to help as many people in your community as you can? Because if someone's going to someone else in your community, they're not getting the service that they would get at your office. So there's a drive to do that. And when your staff understands that, and, it gets into, you always track numbers and so on, it's like doing more. They're not seeing it so much as money. They're seeing, well, what's our mission? And I have to tell you that, a lot of us, baby boomers and, anybody that's a little bit in the older range now, there's this thing about that young people don't want to work. They just don't have the same work ethic. But I will tell you, they will rally around a mission. And if you have a stated mission, they're going to rally around that. And if nothing else, at least you started out asking me why I want to become a dentist. I would say, I'll bet you anything that most dental team have no idea why their boss became a dentist. Start with that. Say, hey, this is why I became a dentist. And it might be laughable. And my staff, they shared with me. They go, yeah, Dr. VanderMolen, he became a dentist because he wanted to be around hot women like us. And, it's a big joke.
Yeah.
But it's like, so you think about it, like, you're like, well, we must be pretty something special because he wanted to be around women like us. So as ridiculous as that sounds, just little things like that, that show that who you are and authentically what you're after, is going to go a long ways for you.
I think you bring up a great point about, the younger generations today and where sometimes they get a bad rap about, well, they don't want to work. But I think you really nailed it. And what I see more and more, and this really pervades all generations, but I think we see it maybe more in the younger generation, is that people are really coming back to, what is my purpose? What's my purpose here on life? Was it just to go out and make money, get a job? Well, maybe at the early stages, we do that. We work at McDonald's or wherever because that's what you do. Yeah. But at some point, you want to be purposeful. And I think you really hit it. Is certainly we need to be compensated, with a wage that provides for our families. But man, I want some identity in terms of some relevance, and part of a group, a company that's doing something. I think you said it well. That's what's missing a lot today, right? In people's lives,
right.
I think.
Right. And, and going back to that the purpose where, and let me actually say, so, I learned what I had to learn, and a mentor took me aside because I noticed that every good business has amazing people. And in my mind, there's like, how do they find those people? How do they find those clients? And I finally asked somebody, in a business outside of dentistry, how do you find people? And he's like, well, let me ask you something. What business are you in? I go, I'm a dentist. And he goes, that's the wrong business. You need to be in a people building business. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And as he talked that, and then it kind of hit me. Oh yeah, I've already been doing that when I was in the Navy. That's why I was so successful. So that was kind of a smack across the upside my head type of thing. Hey dummy, this is where it was. And when people get into a situation where they know that you're caring about them and you're building them, that's really good. Also, you as the dentist, a lot of dentists have this idea that people should start with them and work their whole career, their whole life, their whole working life with them. And they get all disappointed when someone leaves their office. And I didn't have that disappointment because what was my business? My business was to help people become better versions of themselves. And so when someone did leave for whatever reason, they're moving away or they're changing vocations, whatever, I looked at it and said, okay, is this person a better person than when they started? And if they were, I was like, success. And that was gratifying for me. And the cool thing is that a lot of dentists, as you're doing that, you will get better yourself. And as you get better yourself, surprise, surprise, the people that you bring on to work with you will actually be better than those people that left, that you thought, oh, there's no way I can have someone that's better than Sally. And then along comes Mary. And, it's like, oh, wow. So that's how it can work. And that's exciting. And that's what drives me.
What's one of your principles that you bring out, and you say most people say that the patient or the customer comes first, and you already made the position that No,
Right.
that actually comes second. Who comes first? Well, you're
Right.
building people, right? And to
Right.
serve the people that are coming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. No, it's a mistake when I first went into private practice. It's like, patients first. We got to take care of them, do whatever crazy thing they want us to do because they're paying us and I need to pay my bills, And so I lost that for a while, until I got whacked by a very good mentor.
Well, we all need that once in a while, don't we? It hurts a little bit, stings, but it's like it's a good wake up call, for sure. Matt, what traits do you specifically try to look for in bringing on new talent, new team members?
So, so David, I'm a simple guy. I like to keep things real simple. And, there's all these tests out there. There's, Myers-Briggs, the DISC profile. I just took one called the Big Five, which is supposed to be different. It was interesting. It had all these little details about myself that, came into focus, I guess. But, I still have time for that when I'm looking for new people, and there's some things, some sheets that I use, and one of the things that I use, and people who know me well know that I use this question. We ask people pretty much right up front, do you consider yourself a fast walker or a slow walker? And people laugh about that, but if you look at it, I looked up, there's research that people research this, the fast walkers and slow walkers. There's been comics about it, business things about it. And it comes down to 41% in one study of the population are fast walkers. And another study showed that fast walkers, and I'm sorry, you slow walkers out there, but fast walkers actually have a bit of a higher IQ than slow walkers. Fast walkers are goal oriented, and, another study showed they have a longer lifespan, so your staff won't die on you. So that's good. And slow walkers, on the other hand, research has shown that they have reduced emotional stability, and this is really hits hard in dentistry, is they tend to have weaker motor skills. And so this may be very judgmental on my part, but again, you're trying to make easier, quicker decisions. And in my office, my staff is trained to do that. It's to ask at the beginning of the interview, do you consider yourself a fast walker or a slow walker? And if they said slow walker, we would kind of slow walk them pretty much straight out onto the street very nicely.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with slow walkers. It's just that so you have to understand about my office, we're high performance. So, and why are we high performance? Again, because of what our mission is. And so, we don't need people that get in the way. We need to be operating at a high level, and high level people are not going to tolerate lower level people. And that's another thing to consider in your office is, especially in these times where it's hard to find people, you need to pay attention to your higher performing people and make sure that you're taking care of them. If you bring new people in that aren't high performance, that don't have that potential, your high performance people may leave because they see you spending more time with them. So it's a little counterintuitive, but spend more time with your longer term, higher performing people, and you'll stay out of trouble.
Sounds like we should just go to the airport and do our hiring, right? Walking down the terminals, right? And
Yeah.
and not that I'm in a hurry, but I'm one of the good pace too. It's like you're trying to dodge people who are just kind of lollygagging along. It's like, yeah, I get that, man. I think that makes sense. But I hadn't heard it put that way. That's very interesting. I'm going to pay more attention to that. I guess. Now I can picture the VanderMolen team, Advanced Dental Care Springfield, all out for their noonday walk. You know, all 30 of you out there and just fast walking, right? I mean, there's a sport in the Olympics called it's just, what is it, fast walking? I mean, and those fast walkers, I mean, it's kind of interesting to watch, but that's very, very good. Well, you mentioned several times mentors. I know you added a chapter to a book with Brian Tracy. I assume Brian Tracy was someone who was influenced in your life. Talk to us about mentors. I mean, obviously you had mentors going all the way back to your training at Bethesda. There's mentors there, but how much of mentors impacted you? What would you say to anybody, wherever they are in their capacity of life or practice, how valuable the right mentors can be?
Dentists tend to be more introverted people, and we're a lot of times with the mentality that if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And although that can be true, you're never really going to grow as a person, or certainly you're never going to grow a business trying to do everything yourself. Mentors have played a role way back, shortly after I was 13, when I became whatever age it was to be able to work in a drugstore. I had a mentor right there as one of the assistant managers. And, he pointed out things to me that where I was already kind of a step above, and then challenged me to do more. And I've been very fortunate, not only my own dentist, but I became an Eagle Scout and Boy Scout, so I had lots of leadership things in there. And then as part of that, there was a dentist in the neighboring town. He was an Eagle Scout, and you spent a day with him. And then that guy, it was more than a day. It was all the way up through dental school that he took time to talk to me about things. And when I went to college, my roommate's uh, uh, brother-in-law was a brand new dentist in town, so I got to watch him start from scratch, and he was a great mentor. And then again, the Navy and so on, and then private practice comes along. And again, this is before the internet and all the social media that we have. And I stumbled around a little bit and had to really work and to be at PE meetings and so on, where I'd find people. I'd always find one of the older dentists and ask them questions about things. And then Tony Feck started Sunrise Dental Solutions, and it was a group of like-minded people who wanted to do it right, but also wanted to do really well in their practices. And one of the things I admire about you, David, is I know you do a lot about real estate investing and investing and things like that. And when I've seen that in the past, a lot of things it's like, well, dentistry sucks, so you need to go over here and maybe do real estate, for instance. And that's not your message at all. Your message is that you do dentistry really well, you do your business really well, and guess what? It becomes a great cash machine that now you've got this money that you can take and invest into other things. And that's the way things should be. And it takes a coach or a mentor to help you along with that. And if you don't find that person, you're really missing out. And I'm glad. I'm a little jealous, actually. I have clients that I coach, and I'm a little jealous of them because I literally saved them at least 10 years in the curve of growing to a point where they can be, financially independent. And so I'm a little jealous of that because I didn't have that at their age. Coaching really works, and you have to be ready. You can't coach somebody who's not ready. So if you're listening to this and you think you know it all, keep going. But I'm going to tell you, you don't. You don't know what you don't know. And coaches are really an inexpensive investment in what the returns can be in your future.
And you got started and you've been coaching and mentoring through Sunrise, Tony Feck, Chris Phelps. I know a number of the people with Sunrise, all great people.
Yeah.
So something just came naturally to you because obviously you've been coaching and mentoring the people building business. I mean that's inherent in who you are. That's what I know about you. And I think it's a perfect segue for you because you're out of clinical practice now, correct?
Yes, I left clinical practice a couple of years ago. People ask what I miss about it. I miss the game in practice, and for some of you that might be struggling out there right now and look at work as kind of a grind, and no pun intended there, but if work for you is a grind, that would not be good. But if you can approach what you do as a game and involve your team players as a game, and have a purpose, have a mission, it's amazing all the incredible things you can do. And so I do miss that game.
So much there, Matt, and you're right. We put so much focus, which it's a good focus on our clinical skills, and no question that is a huge part of our continuing education, our focus, our investment. But if you don't get the people part of the business, it can be that grind. And I think, again, you're really good about helping doctors find that balance, right? I mean, we always talk about the word balance, and that's not easy to do. But I think a lot of those who struggle with that and feel like they are grinding, it's because they're missing that other piece. And sometimes we just need, as you said, that mentor that's just to kind of gives that slap to say, hey, over here, you're doing great here, but you're missing a big piece of this. We just don't know what we don't know in life. We all are missing pieces that somebody has already figured out. We just need to find those people. And then you said, be coachable.
Yeah. When I said I was always going up to older dentists when I was a younger dentist at PE seminars and stuff, and I would ask them, I go, okay, Oh, you've had all the time. What's the number one problem that you have in your office? And the answer was always the staff. And I remember one guy told me, he goes, yeah, well, sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. And he was telling how one part of his career, he was just lucky. He had these people and then they came and went and then his practice decreased. And that really bothered me for a long time. It still bothers me. And, what we've discovered working with clients in Sunrise, we do these events, called Ultimate Team Event, where we have doctors and some people bring their whole staff. Most of them bring like their team leaders with them or managers. And, it's funny because the doctors come thinking that we're going to fix their staff,
Right.
but what inevitably happens is we discover it's not the staff necessarily, it's the doctor. It's something the doctor is missing, something's not right, because the staff, especially when you bring your leadership staff, they're frustrating because they want to help you out, but yet they're being held back by the doctor. And so a lot of what we do with our coaching is to help doctors understand that. In some cases, it's just letting go of things, and letting people perform. And the one thing that I've really come to appreciate about good team for you is, especially in a situation where, say, you just lost somebody, and now so you got the sort of second banana is there, and you look at that person, and instead of going, oh man, she doesn't know anything, what's this going to be like? You just ask that person, you go, hey, I know you might be a little frightened because, your superior basically has left, but here's the deal. Are you ready to step up? And they'll always say yes, especially in a situation where they know, again, so what's Dr. Van Reed? What's he all about? He's about helping people get better. And that's what I tell them. I've got your back. And if they're feeling like they're in a safe situation where they can excel, I'm always stunned. It's embarrassing to me how much better they do than what my expectations are, just by asking them to step up. So you have good people. They're just being held down a lot of times. And there's some people that are obviously bad, and your good staff will tell you who they are, if you ask them. And yeah, go ahead and get rid of them. But before you just decide that all staff are bad or everything's terrible, you really take a look at what's really going on. And a coach can help you sift through that.
A coach, and also let's give some credence also to the community of other doctors and their staff who are also being coached. I think it feels good to know you're not the only one,
right?
I mean, when
Yeah.
you're with other people that go down the path and you realize that they're just like you and struggle with some of the same things, yet they've made some moves, and you're going, well, then it's possible.
Yeah. You're as good as the people you hang around with, that's for sure. So, I know your group is a lot of really great people. I've met several people in there. Sunrise, of course, I'm going to say the same thing. It's a whole different world. And sometimes it's funny because we'll work on something and we'll be kind of giving ourselves a hard time about something. And then Tony will give us the dope slap and go, hey, you guys, this thing that you're worrying about, let me show you what, the real world of dentistry is struggling with. And it's almost laughable. But again, it's part of that game of just continually getting better. And I know there's some people out there going, well, where's the end point? When is it okay to just be you? And for me, growth is important. If you're not growing, things just tend to happen and tend to die off. And so if you're excited about what you do, and again, having a mission, having a purpose, you're not really asking yourself that question of, when could I slow down?
Well, that's a great way to end our session today, Matt. We're going to put the links to contact. Would you like me to? You've got your email here and
Yep.
cell phone number, and also Sunrise Dental Solutions. We'll put those links in. Is that appropriate for you? For us
Yeah,
to do? Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Matt, MATT V DDS at gmail.com. If those of you who want to just think about that, but we'll have the show notes there that will also, I'll put the rest of the links there so you could contact Matt, follow up. And yeah, if you're a doctor that's working hard and you aspire to live that life where your journey, your path, and with your team becomes more of a joy than a hindrance. Yeah, I would definitely connect with Matt. I can just tell you my experience with working with great coaches and mentors definitely elevated every aspect of my life. And looking back, I would never do it differently.
Somebody that's a good dentist, if they're truly a great dentist and you reach out to them, and ask them for help, they're going to help you.
Yes.
And that's part of what drives me too. I've had dentists over when I would meet people at seminars, they would actually invite me. I had one guy invite me to come to his office, and I called him up and said, yeah. And he goes, well, you're the first one that's done that. And it was an incredible experience for me. And I've had other doctors spend hours on the phone, separate times, that had no monetary interest. They were just interested in helping people. And so that's the kind of people that you want to associate with. And if you contact me through Sunrise and you have some particular issues, there's no pressures that I'm not pressing you to sell you to buy anything. I'm just sincerely interested in you getting what you need to move on in what I consider to be still one of the great professions available.
No question. Well, your career certainly proves that to be true, and you're one of the standouts that continues to shine in an industry that does serve so well. So, Matt, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, David.